In this video, I'm going to write a script which reads a CSV file where we have these different email records, and the script sends an email to each of these records, and the email contains a text file as an attachment, and in that text file, Python also will write the amount that that contact, that person has to pay. So that number is going to be written inside the text file and sent out to each of those contacts. So that's the idea. For that, I'm going to fork this last REPL and change the name slightly, maybe modified attachment. So we are modifying the attachment this time, which is different from what we did last time. Last time we just sent out a text file as it was. So let's check the data source if they are okay. So contacts.csv. I think these email addresses were temporary, so I'm just going to delete them and just keep one contact here. That's enough. So for file path, what do we choose to have this time? I think it makes more sense that the file path should be generated automatically, dynamically by Python. It doesn't make sense to have multiple contacts here and to have that file name for each contact, so different file names. It's not practical. So what I think is that we delete that field from CSV, right, like that, and we have only name, email, amount. So ardit@gmail.com, the address up to here, and the amount, that. And then as the name of the text file, we use the name of the person. So ardit in this case. So ardit.txt. That's what I'm thinking. You could find different solutions, but this is good enough, I think. So we generate that and we attach that file. So we do the imports here. The sender is static. We are not having different senders. That's the sender. It happens to be the same as the receiver, but it doesn't matter. We'll log in here. Let me expand the code. We'll log in. We open the pandas data frame. So we open the CSV as a pandas data frame, and we iterate over the rows of the data frame table. So once we iterate through a row, let's say we are in this one here, ardit with this email address. The first thing we want to do is, of course, to generate that attachment, to make the attachment ready. That makes sense to me. And what I'm going to do is that since this script is expanding, it makes sense to use functional programming now, not procedural programming. So far, this is sort of procedural programming because we write the script line by line. We do something else, and so on and so forth. Using that logic with procedural programming, we would add here something like with open and generate a set the file name and so on. So things go line by line. But what I'm thinking is to put things in blocks of code, what I mean by that is to put things in functions, to separate them in functions. And a function should do one thing and do it well. So this function would be, for example, generate file or generate attachment. Generate file is good enough. So the function will get some input and it will produce some output. The output will be the text file. And the input is on, so what changes in between these text files? So we have one text file for ardit. We're gonna have something for John and so on. What's going to change is the file name and the content of the text file as well. So these two we use as arguments. And then inside here we write the code that generates a text file. So with open, that's how we generate text files in Python. With open file name, that's the name of the file. we open as W, which means in write mode, as file, so that's the file object. In that file object we want to write. What do we want to write? The content. So that variable, that is the file name, that is the content of that file with that file name. So we iterate and then we generate the text file. How we do that is by just calling that function, generate file, which expects two arguments, the file name. So what is the file name? We said that should be name, so that one, right? And as content, that should be amount, so the field amount. We might get some issues with this, but let's leave it like that. We run it and we see what errors we get and what output we get and how we can change that output. I think the rest of the code is fine. So the receiver email is row email, that one, and the subject is that, the content is that, so the name goes there. The amount also could be included in the email, besides being included in the attachment, and row file path. Yeah, so this now is the file path of the attachment, which is the same as this actually. So since we are doing this multiple times, so row name here, row name there, it makes sense to put it in a variable. Name, row name, right? And then this variable, I can copy that, paste it in here. We do the same for amount. Amount equal to row amount. And so this becomes amount, right? These variables. And then here we just say name. Name amount. So we don't have to access that list multiple times, this list accessing operation here. Well, it's a data frame series actually. Row is a data frame series, but that's even worse because a series is even slower. Accessing a series, a data frame series is even slower than accessing a list. So it makes sense to have that only once. And so here then we say name for the file path. Yeah, we can keep it like that for now. And send, yeah, this also becomes the receiver email variable, right? This one in here, that one, which I'd also like to organize it better among the variable declarations in here. So we declare variables, we call the function, we declare the subject, the contents, and we send out the email. That's it. And run. And we have the first error here. Type argument right. Argument must be a string. In line 13, which is this one in here. So content is an int, as the error is suggesting. It is an int because content is coming from line 20. So line 20 here. Amount. Amount is supplied to content here. And content supplies this write function. And amount is generated here. So row amount itself is an integer, it's 22. So when we do row amount, the pandas data frame gives us an integer. It doesn't give us a string. We have to convert into a string in here, str content. Let's try again now. But I'm going to have another error if I try, because I haven't included a password key for my Gmail login credentials. So password, and this has to be the app password of your Gmail. So it's an app password. If you don't have an app password, go to your Gmail, to the app password sections in the settings and generate an app, and then you get the password and paste it here and press add secret. Now I can run this. Email sent. Let's check. So this one here. Hey Ardit, you have to pay 22. Bill is attached. This is the attachment. Let's open it. So I see a problem here. I mean, it opens, the file opens and we see 22, but my computer didn't recognize the file. So it was a bit unsure what to use to open it because we didn't specify an extension. So where do we add the .txt extension? Should we add it to the function? So should we do something like f and a placeholder perhaps like that, .txt? Should we construct the file name in here? I don't think this is a good idea because a function should be decoupled from other roles. So the function has one role. Its role is to generate a file given a file name. So the file name should come as complete. So for example, ardit.txt. Therefore, I think we should be looking somewhere else. Should we add it here, f and so .txt, just like we were doing in here? I don't think that's a good idea either, because name is being used in the contents of the email body. So if we did that, if we added an extension here, this would say, hey, ardit.txt, you have to pay this amount. So that doesn't make sense either. Therefore, so I think the best thing to do here is to create a file name, which should be name plus .txt, the string. So ardit plus .txt creates the file name. And then we use that file name in here, file name. So we give the path in the contents, and also we have to use this in here also. So generate file using that file name, that one, right? So generate file supplies this file name in this here. So this first, and that takes it in here. Right, that should do it. So let's run email sent. Let's see here. Hey Ardit, you have to pay 22, bill is attached, and ardit.txt. Yeah, we can see the text file 22 is here and everything is working fine. So that's the code for this exercise. Thank you, and I'll talk to you later.